Hello, dear students. Now we are going to study next topic, which is last topic of this first chapter, which is conservation of energy for system of particles. Okay. Before this, we have studied conservation laws for system of particles, conservation of linear momentum, conservation of angular momentum. And next one is conservation of energy. Okay. So to prove this conservation of energy, we must take conservative forces. If external force acting on the system is conservative force, okay, and due to that external force, energy of that system is going to change. Okay, that we are going to consider. For that, consider a system of particles which consist of capital N number of masses. Okay, suppose I can show there these masses like this m1, m2 up to m1, mn, that you know from previous lectures. We know that in such system, in such system, if masses are m1, m2 up to mn, and all these masses are discrete masses, means what, we can distinguish these masses from one another. In that case, in that case, if we apply external force to this system, suppose I show this as system and we apply external force, then we know that external force is applied to each and every particle m1, m2, m3 up to mn. Now external force on first particle is f1 external, second particle is f2 external, like this. Okay, we can show that f external is f1 external plus f2 external, okay, plus fn external. This is the external force on first particle, okay, which is component of this total external force. This is second component. Likewise, this is nth component, which is acting on nth mass particle, okay, which is the last particle of this system. Now, now, if I take ith particle, if I take ith particle of all these particles, then work done on ith particle can be written as dw is equal to, we know that work done is dot product of force and displacement. So if you write for ith particle, then force acting on ith particle and displacement of ith particle. Okay, in this way we can calculate work done on ith particle. Okay, we know that if we apply external force, due to that external force, force on ith particle is nothing but component of external force, okay, and plus internal forces, which are summation over j running from 1 to n fij internal. Okay, you know how this component came into account here. Okay, so put this in above equation, what we will get, dw is equal to fi external plus summation over j running from 1 to n fij internal. Okay, now you have to take dot product with dri, call this as equation 1, call this as equation 1. Now if due to this external applied force all the masses change their position, okay, suppose this is initial position of this masses, I say this as configuration 1, and due to this external force all the masses change their position. Okay, and I can say this is configuration 2. So due to this external force, system is moved from configuration 1 to configuration 2. Configuration 2 means what? The masses change their position. Okay, due to this external force. Why masses change their position? If you put chalks on this board like this and you give external push, okay, to this chalk, then you know that position of each and every chalk is displaced, it's changed. Okay, so due to this external force, if this masses change their position, and we can say the whole configuration is configuration 2. Now to find out total work done, okay, for this system, if we apply external force, okay, then total work done will be integration from 1 to 2 dw. Okay, now this is equal to, from equation 1 you have to take summation sign over here, because this is only for ith particle. For whole particles you need to add contribution from each and every particle. So here we get summation over I integration from 1 to 2 fi external plus f summation over j running from 1 to n fij internal, okay, dotted with dri. Now if external force is a conservative force, if external force is a conservative force, what is mean by conservative force? F is conservative. Conservative means what? It must conserve something. If due to external applied force is conservative, which means if that force is having curl 0. This is one definition of conservative force. Conservative force field means what? If curl of that force is 0, which means you know that from vector calculus, if curl is 0 then force is some negative gradient of potential, which is another definition of conservative force. If external force can be represented by some negative gradient of potential, such forces are known as conservative force. Or you can take another definition of conservative force: work done by that force is independent of path taken, it depends only on end positions, then such forces are known as conservative force. Okay, gravitational force, electrostatic force are the examples of conservative force. So by that definition, if external applied force is conservative, okay, then we know that that force is some negative gradient of potential. Okay, which means in this equation, in the equation 2, we can replace this force by some negative gradient of potential, which means we can write, f I external, okay, plus summation over j running from 1 to n fij internal as minus gradient of v, okay, I. So here we are taking dot product of this with respect to dr. So you must take spherical polar coordinate system. Okay, and if you take only radial component of this gradient, so this becomes minus dv by dr, okay, dvi by dri into r cap, okay. You are taking negative gradient of potential in this way. This is radial component of gradient in spherical polar coordinate system. If you take dot product of this and dr, we know that this becomes minus dv by dr r cap, and this vector dr can be written as vector dri into r cap. So using in equation 2, what we will get, using in equation 2, we can say total work done is equal to summation over I integration from 1 to 2. Instead of this, we can write minus dv by dri into r cap. If you take dot product of this with dri, it will becomes minus dvi. Okay. Now integration of dvi is nothing but vi. Now limit of integration is configuration 1 to 2. If you take summation over I here, so this is nothing but in second configuration in the upper limit, summation over I, which means V1, V2, V3, V4. V1 is what? Potential energy of first particle. V2 means what? Potential energy of second particle. V3 means potential energy of third particle. So 2 means in second configuration we are adding potential energy of all the particles, and we say by keeping this negative sign, okay, this term is V2. V2 is what? V2 is the addition of all the potential energy of all particles in second configuration. If you take lower limit minus, if you put I equal to 1, which means what? In the first configuration, V1 plus V2 plus V3 plus V4 plus V5, which is what? Potential energy of first particle, potential energy of second particle, potential energy of third particle. So that is sum of potential energy of all the particles in the first configuration. So this is nothing but V1. So we can write W is equal to minus, if you multiply this minus sign to this term, so it will become V1 minus V2. Call this as equation 3. Okay. V1 is what? V1 is the potential energy of all the system in first configuration. V2 is the potential energy of all the particles in second configuration. Okay. So we have writing work energy theorem in terms of potential energy. So this is subtraction of potential energy. This is equal to work done. Okay. Now we have to find out work done in terms of kinetic energy. Okay. So for that we know that work done is dot product of F dot dr that we have seen in equation 1. Okay. I rough out that equation 1. Now we know that force on ith particle from Newton's second law of motion, force on ith particle can be written as rate of change of momentum on ith particle. So dpi by dt, and pi means momentum of ith particle is mass of ith particle and velocity of ith particle. Okay. So from this, what we can write? If you put pi in this equation, so fi is equal to, instead of pi, you can write this as mi into vi. So mi is constant, so this is nothing but velocity of ith particle with respect to time, derivative of velocity of ith particle with respect to time. Now take dot product with dr. So fi dotted with dri is equal to mi dvi by dt, okay, dotted with dri. Here this v is potential energy and here this v is velocity. They are not same. Okay. So for that I am using symbol like this for velocity. Okay. Now this is dvi by dt, rate of change of velocity. For this dr, if you multiply and divide by dt, now see dri by dt, ri means what? Displacement of ith particle. So rate of change of displacement of ith particle is nothing but velocity of ith particle. So you can write this term as vi. Now this dt will cancel with this dt. So we get equation for fi dot dri as mi into vi into dvi. Okay. So you can put this in equation 1. So equation 1 is what? dw is equal to fi dotted with dri. Okay. So for that you can write fi dot dri mi, okay, vi dvi. So this is equal to, instead of fi dot dri we can write directly as mi vi into dvi. Now again, if that system is moved from configuration 1 to configuration 2 by external applied force, in that case total work done for the whole system is w, which is integration from 1 to 2 dw, which is equal to integration from 1 to 2 summation over I. Here we get mi vi into dvi. Okay. So I can write that over here. So in that case w is equal to summation over I mi integration of mi vi dvi is what? Mi is the constant, vi dvi vi square by 2. So that becomes summation over I mi vi square by 2. And if I put limit from 1 to 2, again if you take this summation symbol to this, okay, so this is nothing but kinetic energy of the whole system. Means if I running from 1 to capital N, if you put value of I equal to 1, so this is 1 half m1 v1 square. So kinetic energy of first particle plus 1 half m2 v2 square m2 m3 v3 square. Okay. So this term is nothing but kinetic energy. Now in this kinetic energy, if you put this symbol, which means what? This is in the second configuration by applied force, total kinetic energy of all the particles in second configuration minus, if you take lower symbol, lower limit of this integration, so this is the total kinetic energy of whole system in first configuration. So this is T2 minus T1. So call this as equation 4. Now see, from equation 3 and 4 on the left hand side we have work done, total work done. If that particle or that whole system goes from configuration 1 to 2, total work done is what? V1 minus V2. V1 is potential energy of first configuration for whole system. V2 potential energy of second configuration for whole system. So we can equate these equations because on the left hand side we have W. So from equation 3 and 4 we can write V1 minus V2 is equal to T2 minus T1. So we can rearrange this as, if you take minus T1 to left hand side, so on the left hand side it becomes plus T1, so T1 plus V1. If you take this V2 to right hand side, so that will become T2 plus V2. So if you take this T1 to left hand side, so T1 plus V1, and if you take this V2 to right hand side, so it will become T2 plus V2. So T1 is kinetic energy of whole system in first configuration. V1 is potential energy of all the particles in first configuration. So we know that kinetic energy plus potential energy is total energy in first configuration is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy is total mechanical energy in second configuration. So in this way we can say for a system principle of conservation of energy. Okay, what is the statement of principle of conservation of energy? If conservative force is acting on the system, if conservative force is acting on the system, then its total mechanical energy is conserved. Okay, so with this we finish our chapter first. Now we are going to take problems of chapter first. So in this lecture I am going to take only two problems. Those problems are on projectile motion. Okay, so first problem is this is second problem. Two projectiles are projected with same initial velocity. If one is projected at an angle of 30 degree and another is at 60 degree to the horizontal, find ratio. We have to find out these two quantities. Find ratio of their maximum heights, and second, ratio of their ranges. This is our first problem. Okay, so in this problem, if we have two projectiles, first given we know two projectiles are there, we have given their angles. So angle for first projectile, angle of projection 30 degree, and for second projectile angle is 60 degree. What we have to find? Ratio of their maximum heights. So capital H1 divided by H2, and ratio of their ranges, R1 divided by R2. Okay, now diagrammatically how can you show that? You know that for projectile motion, this is initial velocity, this is angle of projection. So if this angle is 30 degree and second angle is 60 degree. Okay, so another projectile will go like this. So range is first, second, and this is the heights H1 and H2. You have to find out their ratios. Okay, so for that you need these two equations. Okay, so we know that maximum height attained by the projectile at given angle theta is capital H is equal to u square sine square theta divided by 2g. Now for first projectile, maximum height attained is h1 is equal to u square is the initial velocity of that projectile, sine square theta 1. Okay, call this as equation 1. For second projectile, maximum height attained is h2, which is again u square. Now remember, in the problem it is given that projected with the same velocity. That's why their initial velocity remains same, u and u. Okay. Sine square angle of projection is theta 2 divided by 2g. Now from equation 1 and 2, taking their ratios. So equation 1 divided by equation 2, we get h1 by h2 is equal to h1 by h2 is equal to, see, ratio of this, u square will cancel, 2g will cancel. So sine square theta 1 divided by sine square theta 2. We know that theta 1 is 30 degree, theta 2 is 60 degree. So sine square 30 degree divided by sine square 60 degree. We know that sine 30 is 1 half. Okay. So 1 half square divided by sine 60 is root 3 by 2. So root 3 by 2 square. So this is equal to, so 1 by 2 square, and here root 3 by 2 square. This 2 square, this 2 square will cancel in the denominator, and we get 1 divided by root 3 square, which is 3. So we get 1 by 3. Okay. Which means height of first projectile is 1/3 of height of second projectile. Okay. So this is their ratio. Now next, range, ratio of ranges. Again, we are going to use this equation for projectile. So h1 by h2, here we get 1 by 3. For projectile motion, range is given as r is equal to u square sine 2 theta upon g. Okay. So for first projectile, range is r1, so u square sine square 2 theta 1, and for second projectile r2 is u square sine 2 theta 2 divided by g. So call this as equation 3, this is equation 4. So dividing equation 3 and 4, we get ratio of their ranges, which is sine 2. See, if you take r1 divided by r2, u square will cancel, g will cancel, sine 2 theta 1 divided by sine 2 theta 2. Okay. Now this is equal to, if you put value of theta 1 theta 2, in numerator we have sine 2 theta 1, which means sine 60 degree, and in the denominator here we have 120 degree. So sine 60 degree is root 3 by 2, and sine 120 is again root 3 by 2. So their range ratio is 1, which means they have same ranges. Okay, r1 is equal to r2. Here, this is first projectile, this is second projectile. See, range is same, but ratio of their height attained by the first projectile is 1/3 of height attained by this projectile. And this distance is 1/3 of this distance. Okay. So in this way, we can find out their ratio of height and ratio of ranges. Now moving to second problem. A body is projected at such an angle that horizontal range is 3 times maximum height. Find angle of projection. See, a body is projected, what we have given in the second problem, body is projected at such an angle, okay, that horizontal range is r is equal to, horizontal range is 3 times maximum height attained by the projectile. So r is 3 times h. Okay, so this is the given quantity. Now we know that equation for r and h. Okay, so using these equations, r is u square sine 2 theta upon g is equal to 3 into h is u square sine square theta upon 2g. So this g will cancel. Okay, u square will cancel, and we get equation as sine 2 theta is equal to 3 by 2 sine square theta, and sine 2 theta using formula 2 sine theta cos theta. Okay, so this sine theta will cancel with this sine square theta. If you take this cos theta to this right hand side, so sine theta divided by cos theta, it becomes tan theta is equal to this 3 by 2 you can take to left hand side, so 2 into 2 it becomes 4, and this is 3. Okay, so theta is tan inverse 4 by 3. So calculate this from your calculator. Okay, so with this we finish our 2 problems. Okay, so tomorrow we will see remaining problems of chapter first.